All right. There's lots of people got these great and wonderful ideas. Sean, you need to just take care of yourself. I can't take care of myself, but I've been trying. I've been putting a lot of effort towards it. Now, with a lot of these people taking care of their own, that's their mentality. I believe in loyalty above all else, except honor. Most of these people don't know what the hell honor even is. Some notion they see in the movies. It doesn't even occur to them that there are people who have those virtues in real life. Taking care of your own. Let me tell you how the police take care of their own. Look how it turns out. The police are now the largest criminal organization in the United States. Making it legal here doesn't make it legal. So we've got international laws that are very important. The United States violates a lot of international laws. The fact that we're part of the United Nations, we should have been kicked out of the United Nations a long time ago because of our stance on firebombing who? Civilians. That's right. The United States and Russia are the only two countries that didn't sign that pact. I wonder why. By the way, Russia later did sign it. No firebombs on civilian populations. We got gangs, they take care of their own. Families take care of their own. Then we got this whole racist crap. Oh, well, they're only after black people. Bullshit. Bullshit. They're after money and your free money. Adolf Hitler during World War II had all those great giant public works that we speak so much about. Who are they built by? Slaves. Slave labor. Were these white people? Were these black people? Were these Belgians? Were they French? Were they men? Were they women? Were they Christians? Were they Jews? Were they Muslims? Actually, it was all of them. See, unlike here in America, where we're surrounded by cowards, y'all might have heard of a place called Amsterdam, right? Amsterdam, what's it famous for? Red light district, prostitutes, marijuana. That's what you guys. Jesus, fuck. Sorry about that. I got a. Turns out there's two baby opossums in here, and they're getting too friendly. So I got to get a hold of animal control here in the next couple of days. They were just crawling around the edges, trying to stay hidden, but now, like, because I'm not trying to chase them off all the time, they're starting to get quite liberal with their, or with my rather, accommodations. On the bright side, I'm not finding their fecal matter all over the place yet. That's part of the reason for getting hold of Terry Duffield. Get some traps out here, get them animals caught, get them somewhere where, well, they're safe. And where they're not going to be bugging the hell out of me at night. It's weird. I sleep with the blanket over my head, and then I feel something trounce across my face real quick. Not cool. Had to wake you up out of a dead sleep. I'm sorry I went on that OCD tangent. Now, a lot of these people, they're taking care of their own. These people who are familiar with each other, they work with each other every day. I mean, for them, throwing someone away that they don't know to protect somebody who fucked up bad, like an officer, or some of these mental health places that they weren't interested in actually helping. They were interested in taking money. What they want is you to fill out this little piece of paper. little piece of paper for the sliding fee scale, which means that the government picks up the tab. But did the government really pick up the tab? No, that's your tab. Just like the jails, that's your tab as a taxpayer. Just like that judge is paid by your taxes. Those officers are paid by your taxes. That public pretender is paid by your taxes. That district attorney paid by your taxes. That prosecutor paid by your taxes. That courthouse paid by your taxes. All the people that work there, including the janitor, paid by your taxes. Oh, it's all right. The government will pick up the bill. No, the American people have picked up the bill. The amount of money that was spent to try to frame all of this, literally over $3 million has been spent between all of these different places. $3 million. Do you have any idea what kind of money that is? They took all of my money because somebody was killed that I didn't kill. And then I got this whole giant fucking heyday of bullshit because the people that I stayed with stole my money. And I needed help getting a lawyer, and my caseworkers were blowing me off and blowing me off. Jeff Ritter said that we would take care of it after Christmas. Well, yeah, he didn't do shit. Taking care of your own. A lot of these places, their bosses called me back. Jen Beebe was supposed to call me back over 5 months ago, or 5 months ago. Over 5 months ago now. I am still waiting. Now I have to wait for them to do an investigation, but her boss didn't ask me any questions about the situation. So what's she really going to investigate? Because it's not just the 5 months. I mean, Jen Beebe, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of stuff that she did, but the most important stuff she didn't do. She procrastinated. She took her dear sweet fucking time. Meanwhile, I don't get that luxury. 2 years worth of this hell. 2 years worth of collecting evidence and having it stolen repeatedly. Trying to get electronic devices that have the evidence on it and keep them with me and safe. Meanwhile, I'm stuck in public. And when you're stuck in public and you're homeless, you are subject to being victimized just because you're homeless. Black people victimize you, Asians victimize you, white people victimize you, women victimize you, men victimize you, Christians victimize you. All these different groups that I hear about taking care of their own. Well, maybe you should think of us as your own, of the human species as your own. There's a guy named Jason Snooks over here demanding of my attention. He says, "Hey, Sean, you made the decision to stay with those people." Yeah, let me tell you something. For somebody like Jason Snooks, who's obviously started here just to troll, that's the first thing he did is start trolling. I mean, really, he doesn't care about me as a human being. What he wants to do is be an asshole. That's not my fault. That's not my choice. Meanwhile, this Jason Snooks feller, has he been involved in any of this case? Has he been involved at any point in time? Was he there in those court dates? Was he there when I spoke to that officer or those officers? I know, Jason, I'm used to you people already. You like being called you people? Congratulations. Now you guys have your own group, the trolls. I wouldn't expect that your fingers are going to be too good for any professional sports, though, so I wouldn't recommend trying to take out a franchise. When it comes to taking care of their own, these people did things, a lot of people did things that were immoral because these were their friends who screwed up. These were their buddies who screwed up. This was their fellow law enforcement that screwed up. A lot of these people who screwed up major, they have kids, they have families, and their families and their kids were their excuses. And a lot of you guys, I know what's going through your heads. Oh, well, because it's family, it's okay. No, it's not. If your brother rapes somebody and kills somebody, is it okay to protect him because he's family? Good question, isn't it? The thing is, through all of this, I've done everything that I can to try to show the evidence, to try to make sure that the public knows what's going on. I posted up a lot on here. I gotta go up to the house. I fucking hate it up there. I really do. The walls are paper thin. Did I see the long ass message you wrote earlier? No, I didn't. There's a lot of stuff that's popped up in the last few days, and I got to step away from it sometimes. I get overwhelmed, and the thought of blowing my goddamn head off gets to the point where I have to step away. At the same time, this is not a fight that I can just walk away from. It would be lovely if I could. It would be great if it hadn't had such an impact just on the last 2 years of my life. I mean, 2.5 years. The thing is that it's going to have those kind of impacts for the rest of my life too. All of the illegal things that were done in the courts to prevent me from speaking, prevent me from showing evidence, prevent me from even being able to go to court, to be able to face my accusers. All of my human and constitutional rights, all of them that apply anyway, have been flushed. When it comes to your constitutional rights and how easy it is for a woman to have your constitutional rights taken away just by lying, just by slandering your name, a man can't do that to a woman, not nearly as easy. Taking care of your own, right? So women, they learn at a very young age that you group up and band together to destroy boys. I remember probably about second or third grade when girls learned that if they kick a boy in the nuts, that he'll go down to the ground. Now, around this time, I remember there was the special ed class. That was the class I was in. You know, the girls would giggle and laugh and point, and giggle and laugh and point, and they'd call you over. It was on the basketball court. You go over there, and you're like, wow, there's one of them girls talking to me. You go over there, and she fucking kicks you in the nuts, and her and her friends all just stand there laughing. I think it's hilarious because they learned it. They learned it from somebody. You can call a boy over and kick him in the nuts and get away with it. And I don't know how many boys that I knew, that I personally know, that have had that same exact story. And usually it's on the basketball court. That's a pretty common place to do it because you're out on recess, you're outside, you're playing. The teachers aren't necessarily paying as much attention as they should, or they can't pay attention to all of the kids at once. Taking care of your own. The Nazis took care of their own. There's a lot of really screwed up stuff going on in the world right now. And most of it comes down to people saying, oh, you're not one of us. You're not one of us. You need to help us. We demand your help. You owe us help, but you're not one of us. We're not going to fight for your rights, but you owe it to us to fight for ours. Really? Well, I do fight for yours. Not because I owe you, but because I recognize that those are our rights, not just yours, that are being violated. I don't know anybody who's gone through as much as I have. Anybody over a situation like this. One of those people that Officer Waylon Lolatai was involved in their situation, his name is Ed Atkins. He got $100,000 from that situation. They didn't even fucking assault him. They didn't even assault him. They treated him like a homeless person. But they were nicer than if he had been a homeless person because there was somebody there with a camera saying he lives here. By that point, the police had already stepped across that boundary, stepped beyond that threshold where they could turn around and go back. At that point, it was a matter of pride. Oh, I screwed up, but I don't want to admit that I screwed up. So we're going to take him in anyway. Much better, Jason. Jason wrote, Sean, I just came across your case 2 days ago. I meant no disrespect, sir. Well, thank you. Akash Samson type, trust me, man, when it comes to women being involved in court, most of them are protected. I know. And a lot of these places that I've gone, you hear about these laws that are supposed to protect the patients, right? Then you get there and you realize that those laws are not protecting the patients. Not having volume in places like Clearview allows them to put whatever narrative that they want to it. Now, that's the important thing about body cameras. Starting off at the very beginning, all right, the DA should have given those body cameras of those officers to my public pretender. Without those body cameras, they get to, like I said, put their own narrative to it however they want. They can say anything was said or done that they want. All they have to do is not introduce those body cameras or turn them off, which they did on multiple occasions. Now, it has been proven time and again that police officers and their brutality towards the public, especially the poor, and that's what this is about, is a war on the poor. We are their property. We are the reason that they have their higher power. We are the reason that they get to stand up on their soapbox and on their hill and collect all of that money and live in those nice fancy houses and drive those nice fancy cars. And we are paying them to do that by our labor. But that's not all we're paying them to do. We're also paying them to rape children and turn a blind eye to others who are raping children. See, this is top down and bottom up politics, folks. You start off with somebody who did something wrong. He's a police officer, right? Well, later on, he wants to be the sheriff. Now, him and his buddies protected him when he did something wrong. Let's say it's rape because you guys hate rape so much. So do I. Say this officer is a child molester and molests a child. The child tries to turn it into another police officer, and they lock this child up. This child is obviously schizophrenic and should not be allowed out into public because obviously no police officer would ever rape anybody. Meanwhile, look back. Look back at how many officers have done this in the last few years, even. A lot. Care of their own. Taking care of their own. Meanwhile, I consider all of you my own. If you're Native American, you are still a human being to me. If you're black, you're still a human being to me. If you're a Muslim, you're a human being to me. If you're a male or female, you are still a human being to me. But am I a human being to you, or do I need to get back of the bus? They took away my First Amendment right and my Second Amendment right in court and prevented me from being able to even go to those courts. These are your First and Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is meant to protect the First Amendment. It's not a hunting law. The First Amendment is your freedom of speech, but it's also your freedom of religion. Somebody is typing on one of my other videos a whole bunch. Thank you, Akash. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry. Mitsolis. There was a lot of people that wanted to help me, but because of the Facebook bans from people calling everything spam, right at the beginning when it made the most difference, I couldn't really get a hold of anybody. With the police doing what they were doing and being made freshly homeless, and my computer being in the custody of, well, the detectives in Natalie's case. All I had was a telephone, and that telephone wasn't working too good. I had to go find places with internet so that I could use it. And there was information that detectives in Natalie's case had asked for. And I've done everything that I could to try to get that information to them with them not answering phone calls. I was having to get updates on the situation from Natalie's two stepmothers, who, by the way, were in contact with me, and I've proven that time and again as well. These ladies later wanted to pretend like I was some sort of a villain when these ladies, they're not ladies, they're bitches. If a man did that, I'd call him a bitch too, and I have. A lot of people don't like my cursing. Oh, Sean, you should stop cursing. Well, with all due respect, with all the fucking goddamn bullshit that's going on, and you want to be pissed off that I'm fucking cursing? That's like being pissed off at people for breaking a few windows when you're fucking blowing their goddamn kids' heads off. You're out of your fucking mind. And then you want to call it terrorism? That's not terrorism. What the police and Donald Trump are doing is terrorism. Saying all sorts of shit about George Floyd's memory in the same paragraph where he is saying that he's going to send troops to go shoot people over things. Let me tell you something. I care about people more than things. Through all of this, I have lost things, a great many things, and I've lost people as well. When Desiree stole my things, many of them important things, some of them had evidence on them type of things that were worth money. When she stole those things, because she was strung out on meth, and she claimed that somebody else had done it. Some guy came to my house and tasered her in the neck and stole all my things. He had plenty of time to, obviously, this guy's just leisurely strolling through Sydney, Nebraska, broad daylight, tasering people, dragging them down a flight of stairs, putting them in the vehicle, and grabbing all of their stuff. Sure, there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that Desiree was telling the truth. The chances are pretty good she's not. And you know what? Even knowing that there's a pretty good chance that she stole all my things, she is still a human to me, and I still rescued her again. People say you're stupid for doing that. Well, she's a human being. She's an addict, just like Alicia, just like Natalie, just like Maddie Boa. I rescued her from a trap house. The guy she was staying with is in Cheyenne, Wyoming, across the street from the Camilla shelter. His name is Kevin McGregor. He's a meth dealer, and he's also involved in human trafficking. Desiree was going to try to help me catch the son of a bitch at one point in time. Then there's a lot of these internet wingnuts, like Layla Johnson. It was Missy Johnson, then Layla Johnson, and then Missy Doonan, and Missy Layla, her mom lady, supposedly Missy's mom. Well, Missy wasn't even real Missy. Her pictures were pictures of some other lady. And then there's Dan Faber, who is involved in the whole situation and knew that she wasn't who she said that she was, but he didn't tell me that. And then there's Erin Cockerham and her involvement in that whole situation. And then her involvement with Carmia and all of that situation. And oh my God, there are 10,000 people involved who never should have been involved to begin with. They should have been between me, Natalie, and the fucking cops before she fucking died. We needed an arbiter to sit down and say, hey, you're both adults. We need a remedy to this situation. I was being assaulted. Natalie wasn't. People are like, you were stalking her. No, I was being assaulted over her lying in fucking Virginia. There's a big fucking difference. Stalking somebody means that you're following them around places, asking them where they're at all the time, asking who it is that they're with all the time. I did none of that. None of it. When I left Virginia, that should have been the fucking end of it. But it wasn't. That's never the end of it. When you think that you're at the end of it, when it comes to an addict, you got to understand these people have severe mental problems, and most of them have severe mental trauma. Shannon Alvarado is an alcoholic for a reason. That's how she copes. That's how most of America copes with it. Doing drugs, doing alcohol, doing fucked up shit. The worse our economy does, the more money people spend on sin. The more money they spend on stuff like alcohol, the more money that they spend on stuff like prostitution, the more money they spend on drugs. That's how Americans cope. Do you go out and actually do something? No, you don't. You don't. You type about it on the internet. You bitch about it to your friends, but do you get actively involved? With most of these people who offered to help me, I had to weed through them and go, all right, which ones are offering the help that I need and which ones are just making bad, baseless assumptions? Pardon that, I was belching while talking. The ones who promised to help me how I needed, those are the ones who I said, all right. Of course, right at the very beginning, I had to accept help from anybody that I could actually be in contact with. Because with all of the issues that I was having with my computer, not even being there, and then the issues that I was having with my phone, the fact that just trying to keep stuff charged up at that point in time. I mean, you've got to find a place where you can even charge in your phone, and you got to spend money to do that. I mean, this was just a whole bunch of money that was wasted because people wanted to protect their own. Candace Bondurant, shit, she did a lot of really fucked up shit before they found Natalie. But then, when they found Natalie's killer, I mean, look at the shit that Candace did after that. She didn't fucking admit that she screwed up. She didn't go, oh, well, obviously I was wrong. Maybe I should come forward. No, instead, she fucking played stupid. Went out of her way to fucking. Here's the thing. After the situation with Michael Beard and all of that had happened, that was a major contributing factor. That was a situation with Candace, Michael Beard, Ryan Ingersoll, who's Ryan's husband, Rochelle Shelley Campbell, and like over a pocket dial from Shelley. And it didn't sound like a pocket dial. It sounded like a scuffle. It sounded like something was bad was happening to her. Now, with Ted Bollinger's history, and you can look at his history, he has an actual history of fucking harming people because he's fucking drunk. But that's okay. This is Natalie's real dad, you know? Meanwhile, why was Natalie protecting her dad, the fucking child molester? Because it's her dad. This is her sibling's dad, too. This is her family. So that magically makes it okay, right? No, it doesn't. No, it absolutely doesn't. Ted Bollinger is not just a child molester. He's a child molester who fucked his own daughter. He gets to run around putting Alicia at even further risk. A lot of people say, well, you chose this and you chose that. They blame me for a bunch of things that I didn't choose. They blame me for a bunch of things that other people chose for me by making baseless and bad fucking assumptions. Because other people didn't want to find out what was going on. Meanwhile, the whole communication thing that I try to explain to people is don't fucking text me. Talk with me. Converse with me. If you're the only one allowed to speak, it's not a conversation. If you're going to interrupt me every sentence with a pretty meme, it's not a conversation. At that point in time, it's you shitting on me. At that point in time, it's you making me feel like I am not even worth listening to. And if you want to help somebody, you do need to listen to their situation. That's why I was so good at helping people out, because I listened to them. I listened to their situation. And when they said that they needed help, I listened to that as well. And if I could provide that help, I did. If I could help to get someone who could provide that help, I did. People know what help they need. But when you put the tag of mentally ill on somebody, all of a sudden they are too retarded to know how to wipe their own ass in 90% of Americans' minds. Oh, he's mentally ill. He must not know what he's talking about. He must be schizophrenic. The rules are different for you. If you're black, you still got more rights than I do. If you're black and homeless, you have more rights than I do at this point. That's what being railroaded in courts does. It allows every other court after that to railroad you again and again and again, based on a reputation that's undeserved, because they would not investigate the actual crimes. Now, let me give you an example. I'll give you two of them, one for rape and one for murder. Is it okay to murder somebody? Is it okay to rape somebody? No. That's something that we can all agree on, right? I'm not talking about killing them in self-defense. Hell, for a lot of you, you might kill somebody for looking at your girlfriend wrong. You might think that's okay. We all know that murder is wrong. But then again, it all depends on who's murdered. Who means what to who. Let's say I'm walking down the street. Ted Bollinger pulls out in front of me, pulls out a sawed-off shotgun, and blows my head off. Right? That's murder, right? Well, let's say Ted is driving down the street and he pulls that gun out and he points it at my head with the intent to blow on my fucking head off. But I'm faster on the draw and I put one right between his eyes. Now, that's not something that I'm willing to do. It's not something that I'm going to actively go out and seek. But if I was to put a bullet between his eyes because he was trying to murder me, then despite the fact that I killed a man, the fact is I was defending my own life. And that is important. If you are defending your own life, then it is absolutely okay. It is. You are not murdering them. You are defending yourself. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Currently, the only one that most of us have is life. And for the poor, that's a life sentence. We need to be liberated, but we have to work together to do that. That means that those folks who want to complain about black rights, well, there are hundreds of thousands of people in these cities. They're not black. They're going through very similar circumstances. Now, you want to stop and say, well, these people aren't being shot. They are. They are. Los Angeles, California has close to 75,000 homeless people in their population. The police, when they kill one of those people, it's no big thing. It doesn't even hit the news. Nobody fucking cares. They'll put gang violence on TV. Oh, yeah, this gang shot up that gang. Yeah, but you didn't say nothing about the homeless people that were just shot by some of your officers, did you? Now, California, they're actually a lot nicer to homeless people than they are in Boulder, Colorado. This liberal hub of Boulder, Colorado. You know what liberal means? If you've ever lived in Boulder, you understand that liberal just means these people make a bunch of public works that look pretty and put their names all over it. That's liberalism. It's just propaganda. It's like being a Democrat or a Republican. Let's see. Jason Snooks, hey Sean, Jerry keeps giving me shit because I'm watching your video. Jason, I don't know who Jerry is. Let's see. I guess I should read this stuff on the side. I do have somewhere that I need to go because it's getting pretty late, but we'll read all your messages. ET phone home. Absolutely. Typed, hope you're doing all right, bud. Akash wrote, I hope you're all right, man. Trust me, man, the courts are corrupt. Ashley Coffee typed, I was just saying I'm in the middle of compiling all the stuff you sent me. There's a lot, Ashley. I didn't send you hardly anything because a lot of the stuff won't send, especially with my, what's this thing called? OneDrive not functioning properly. It's not that OneDrive isn't functioning properly, it's that I don't know how to use it. I've been trying for ever since I left Lana and Amanda's in 2018. But no. John typed, I just watched Rob's video on you. Ashley typed, totally understandable. Step away for a while. Please don't blow your head off. I still need to text you, my friend. Akash wrote, trust me, man, when it comes to women being involved in court, most of them are protected. I know. It's difficult for a man to get a conviction of a woman, even with overwhelming evidence. It is easy for a woman to get a conviction against a man based on her opinions. This is not justice. A lot of people, they believe in the first strike thing, you know? Like, well, I only hit him because I thought he was going to hit me first. That's the situation I've been dealing with through all of this. People backing me in a corner, poking me with a stick, poking me with a stick, poking me with a stick, poking me with a stick. But you just expect me to let you poke me with a stick over and over and over again? Not going to happen. If you back a rabbit into a corner, it'll fucking bite you. That's not a joke. A rabbit will actually bite you if you back it into a corner. Now, I'm not talking about your sweet little pet bunny that you got for Easter 3 years ago and your kids neglect, but once in a while you pull it out and pet it so it's kind and friendly. And when it's backed into a corner, it's just hopping around and it knows that you're not trying to hurt it. That's a completely different scenario. Thing is that a woman can say things to destroy a man's life, and there's nothing a man can do about it. Everything that he does after that is suspect. People can use that every time that they do him wrong. They can go, oh, well, this is your reputation, so I'm going to play on that. Fine. You want to pretend that I'm an asshole? I can be an asshole to you. I can call you names. I can treat you like shit. I can act like you guys do. A lot of people say that's not how people act. No, it really is. Martindales, they're about the most I guess really the way to say it is they're a very spoiled family. They fight over stupid shit. Justine, you stole my shoes. Why are you wearing my shirt? Those are my pants. And they will scream at the top of each other, at the top of their lungs at each other over stuff. Meanwhile, I go over there having a severe panic attack over the sheer quantity of abuse that I've taken, and I'm some sort of a terrible person. Like, you guys scream at each other daily. Yeah, you love each other. Yeah, you have family cookouts and get together for the holidays, and that's great. I mean, the Martindales are a lot of fun. They really are. But when it all comes down to it, in a capitalist society, what's more important, people or things? Things are. Money is more important. Obviously, if you don't have that money, you can't take care of your family, right? So to you, your family is more important than those things, but those things are more important than your family. You have to let your family sit on the wayside because you have to go take care of all of that business. Come back and take care of your family. Catch 22, you just can't win. You work your entire life to pay most of your money to somebody else. Most of it. Meanwhile, most of you don't own the property that you're living on. It's all corporate. It's too big. We need to have, you know how they had the anti-monopoly laws and nobody really followed them. Yeah, well, we're dealing with that as far as property management goes too. There is a point where somebody owns too much. When people have no place to live, then there are people who have too much. There is enough land on this planet, just in America with American citizens, there is enough for us to have thousands of acres apiece. For every single man, woman, and child in America, there are thousands of acres. You can live in the woods. You can live lots of places. You can live in the middle of the desert. Now, there's a lot of land in the United States that's not exactly habitable, and I would recommend not going. But also, look all across the United States, there are people who lived here long before there was electricity, long before there was plumbing or running water. Well, that's not true. We live on a giant battery. And a stream is running water. Now, yeah, you can get sick from drinking from that stream. That's why you need to know how to take care of yourself. It's just like learning how to change a tire on your car. Once you've learned how to change a tire on your car, it's like clockwork. You pop the tire, you get out of your vehicle, you pull out the jack, you jack up the car, take off the fucking tire, you put the other tire on, jack it back down, put the tire in your trunk, jack in your trunk, and you're off on your way. We got a lot of people that don't know how to change their own fucking tire and they drive a car every day. How ludicrous is that? Oh, AAA will take care of it. Hmm. And then we have this simple fact that there's a lot of black people right now who are being less than helpful. The things that they're doing to protect their own is to lash out at anybody who isn't their own. Lash out at anybody who isn't black. Anybody who disagrees with them is a terrible person and must be a racist. Well, that ain't right. And it's not right to blame an entire group now, is it? There's tens of thousands of protesters, possibly even hundreds of thousands of protesters across the United States. How many of them are getting violent? Are we going to blame all of them for the violence of a few? Are we going to punish all of them for the violence of a few? And if we're doing that to protesters, then why are we not doing that to police? Why are we not locking up all police officers for the crimes of the officers who've been caught already? Not the officers who are guilty, because for every one officer who's been busted, there's at least 10 more who haven't been busted. And some of these police officers have made an entire law enforcement career out of abusing their power to get away with rape. One of those officers last year, they were saying that they'd been compiling a case against him for 20 years. Imagine that. 20 years this man had investigations against him for the things that he was doing. And for 20 years, he continued to be in law enforcement. Officer Waylon Lolatai has already been involved in at least 8 assaults that I'm aware of. He is still in law enforcement. I guess I didn't get across most of this. I stopped and started yakking, but the point is that, yes, despite the fact that I keep getting told that I need to go to the back of the bus with my own goddamn problems, yes, I still stand up for black rights. because those aren't just black rights, those are our rights. Just because it says something on paper doesn't mean that it's like that in real life. And that's what you need to pay attention to. It's not that these black people have laws that say that it's okay to do these things. It's that nobody follows the fucking law. The law doesn't follow the law. The law enforcement officers don't follow the law. The public pretenders don't follow the law. The DA doesn't follow the law. The judge doesn't follow the law, and the prosecutor doesn't follow the law. So if nobody in the judicial system following the law, why are we? I broke the law only when others broke the law against me, and there was no other option. I tried other options. People have all these ideas. Sean, you should do this. Sean, you should do that. You know, I had those very same suggestions when Natalie disappeared. And people assumed I wasn't trying. They assumed because they weren't there in person. So I proved by recording videos with these witnesses, things that should have been in court, but these people were just, well, basically dealing with their own trauma by getting fucked up on drugs and alcohol. So how much help are they really going to be? So are these alcoholics taking care of their own? Are these drug addicts taking care of their own? Let's see. Ever since I've heard about Sean's case, I really hope he gets justice. Hi, Sean. It's nice to see you. We consider you our own. You're a human being to me, Sean. You're pronouncing my name right. Sean, stay strong, man. Strong, man. It says Elliot with the dub. You tell him. Sean, I like that you're trying to promote peace. Always have. After everything you've been through, Sean, you have the right to curse. Well, thank you. If police officers have the right to shoot people in the head who are unarmed, and they have the right to choke people out to death over a cigarette, they have the right to asphyxiate you. They've asphyxiated me on multiple occasions since Natalie died. It's a very scary thing. It's like waterboarding somebody. It is a torture technique, and they are taught to use that. They're also taught who they can and cannot use it against. See, when it all comes down to it, we live in a capitalist society, and it's about saving money. Officer William Lolotai and all of that situation with Zaid Atkinson cost the city of Boulder almost $200,000. Police are taught who they can go after, who they can victimize. If they can afford a civil lawyer, if you can reasonably assume that they might be able to afford a civil lawyer, then you leave them alone. If they look like they're broken homeless, fuck yes, that's job security. Meanwhile, all the money that they're eating up for locking up people who are innocent, all of the money that they're eating up, spending on these prisons and on these false charges and paying all of these public pretenders and judges and so on and so forth over the screwed up actions of police officers. That's all taken away from important programs like the domestic violence shelters, battered women's shelters. You know, there's only 3 battered men's shelters in the whole United States. 3! Holy shit! Well, that's because men are stronger than women. No. Desiree could bench 2 of me. In order for that to be true, all men would have to be bigger than women. All men would have to be bigger than all women. And the fact is, there are a lot of women who can take my head off with one punch. There are also a lot of guys that are smaller than me. Yes, there are people who are bigger than me. And I understand, yeah, you want that big muscle-bound dude who looks like James Payton. Well, that's fine and dandy. I understand. It makes you feel protected until he turns that on you And then you don't feel so protected anymore. Now you're really afraid. Because instead of a guy who's about your size, you've got a guy who's twice or three times your size who can manhandle you and throw you around like a rag doll. Taking care of your own, right? Well, that's your boyfriend, right? So you leave him, then you get lonely. You don't want to be alone because we teach women, well, we've got the pretty words that we tell them, but then we've got the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is we actually do teach women that they do need to be dependent on men. We teach women in the United States how to manipulate men, starting almost when they're born. That's not okay. And then we blame everything on men. It's everything is the boy's fault, starting around puberty. Holy crap. If a woman does something screwed up to you, there are three different things, she only has to say one of them, that she can use to destroy your entire life and have you victimized for the rest of your life. Let's get back to this. Um, um, Myself also, I'm trying to help. Gosh typed, Ashley Coffee, that's good. I wish I could help, but I'll support them all the way. Thank you for being a real human being. Thank you all for being human beings. Thank you for knowing how to read. Thank you for your critical thinking abilities, even if you don't use them. At least you have them. At least you have those tools to utilize. Spread the word, share his videos. He sent me so much stuff. I do not doubt anything he says at all. Speak out. The more positive attention, the better. And thank you. Kosh Sampson typed at Ashley Coffee. His story hit me hard because I can relate to his mental health. I have depression, anxiety, and I'm autistic. And I have trouble talking to people too. I've worked on that hard. Moving around all the time growing up kind of helped with that. Jason typed, it's not like that. Ashley Coffee typed, it's great you have common ground and can understand. The stigma of mental illness is primarily the main culprit of all of everything going to hell in a handbasket. Stigma equals bullshit. I got a saying I like to say. Normal is a box of preconceived notions. Everything else is the truth. He's gotten such a bad deal because of false accusations. It royally pisses me off. It's not just the false accusations. The fact that I wasn't allowed to defend myself in court. I wasn't allowed to make a police report. I wasn't allowed to show evidence. I wasn't even allowed to go to court dates. People set up GoFundMes so that I would have money, but then manipulation by wingnuts. Sorry, women. Not all of my perpetrators were women. Matter of fact, historically throughout my life, most of my perpetrators have been men. Although many of those men who perpetrated those crimes perpetrated them for women who were nutty. Oh my God, he's so ugly. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm ugly. Ignore me. Don't pretend I'm some sort of fucking monster because I don't look like Tyson Beckford. Are you out of your fucking mind? What, I'm not a human being because I'm not pretty? Is that what you're trying to tell me? And then you get all the stigmas from Hollywood. I got Tourette syndrome, so I do this thing with my eyes like this. I do this with my wrist, and I make funny noises. You know, as I'm looking through a lot of these Hollywood movies, I noticed that the good guys, the heroes, are always big and muscle bound and good looking. They have $1 million smile. And the bad guys, let's look at Last Action Hero, for example. Arnold Schwarzenegger's huge, muscle bound. He's not a bad looking fella, even with the gap between his teeth. You know? And look at the bad guy. Oh my God, that guy is ugly as fucking sin. Probably a nice guy in real life, but they make him look. Now, in a lot of these movies where these bad guys, serial killers, and stuff like that. They got twitches and weird stuff that they do. So now every time somebody does something that you think is weird, you're like, oh, you must be a serial killer. Like people who wear their socks inside out. Have you ever worn your socks inside out? They are so much more comfy, first of all. Second of all, if you got a little bit of a snag on one of your nails, it slides in pretty easily. It doesn't get caught on all the little frays. It might, but if you wear them the way that you're supposed to, they're gonna, you know? So if somebody wears their socks inside, are you going to accuse them of being a serial killer? Now, is there a group for people with socks inside out to support those with their socks inside out who get treated like serial killers? Is there a socks inside out lives matters? Probably not. But those people, if their rights are violated because they have their socks inside out because of the stigma of their neighbors or whatever, they're still having their rights violated. People are making their life hell because they don't like the fact that you want to wear your socks comfortably. You know, we had a lot of that whole situation back when women were supposed to wear dresses, and if they wore pants, they were terrible people. What about pants makes them terrible people? It's a good question. Let's see. They love to demonize mental illness nowadays. Well, we need to get rid of the term mental illness. It's too broad of a term and it can be used to harm people. Is used to harm people. We need to educate ourselves on specific diagnosis instead of blanking it all under mental illness, because right there you're basically relegating anybody who is homeless to being treated like they're schizophrenic, and as a result their words aren't worth being listened to. People listen to Black Lives Matters. The cops asphyxiated a man to death, and this has gotten attention worldwide. Meanwhile, the police officers in Boulder County have asphyxiated many homeless people to death. Nobody gives a fuck. Being born in poverty is not a choice. Being raised in a situation where you are severely abused and have PTSD, that's not a choice. I ran away from several places that I was locked up. They take you back. See, they do. It's like wearing a scarlet letter. Oh wow, there's a lot more on here. People demonizing mental illness combined with Sean's story pissing me off. Hey Sean, Jerry keeps giving me shit because I'm watching your video. She's Jerry. Okay, Jason. Let's see. But again, thank you for all the help you're giving to Sean. That's from Tosh to Ashley. Jason, that's Sean. You're going to be okay. Funeral Press Heart. Just found out about all of this, and I would offer my support, but I'm not sure how much of a help that would be. You're a very strong person, and I hope you keep it all up. Jason type Sean, are you drinking? No judgment, just curious. I quit drinking in 2001, bud. Thank you for asking. Actually type, no he's not, he's sober, he quit years ago. Haha, mechanic over here, I fixed my own stuff. Fiona, share, speak out, get positive attention now. Kosh type, finally I'm reconnected. It's storming where I am right now. Jason Smith type, that's me. Actually type, we're all human. We bleed the same. The sooner society realizes this, the better we will be. Jason put a thumbs up. Amen to that from Akash. Akash also typed, there should be the same amount of men's shelters as there are women's shelters. Actually typed, I agree, Akash. Akash typed, you're cool, and your last name reminds me of coffee. Actually, there was a girl here in Chapel, Nebraska. Her name was Caroline Coffey. And I had a pretty big crush on her because she was nice to me. She was the first girl to ever say yes to going out on a date with me, and we never. Instead, one friend I got in town that I kind of sort of get to hang out with, Chris Stegman, he called me up one night. He told him and Jamie Curtis encouraged me and basically pushed me to ask Caroline out. So I called her up and I asked her out, and I was pretty broke, and I went without eating for, well, for the most part without eating for about a month. Saved up enough to go out on a date with Caroline, and Chris calls me up. He says, "Hey, I got you a gift," and I'm thinking he's gonna come back from camp with, well, who knows? You know, I was thinking something, not someone. Well, he came back with Caroline, and I was so excited. Like at this point in time, Chris and Jamie are dating, and or at least that's what I thought. And of course, Jamie thought that at the same time too, that her and Chris were still dating. Well, Chris and Caroline let me make a complete fool out of myself about how excited I was that we were going to go out on a date and how I'd saved up my money to go out on the date. That's when Caroline and Chris, after letting me make a fool out of myself for like 5 minutes, told me that they were dating. Woo! Damn. Tell me that didn't hurt. I still love Caroline. I still love Chris. I still love Jamie. But that was a fucked up situation. Oh, God, I need a new back. Let's see. This one was held for review. I don't know why. Men can be victims too. Rape, domestic violence. Ashley typed, "Why, thank you. You're pretty chill yourself. I love my last name." Ashley typed, "No Hulk for me, thanks." Hulk smash. Okay. I'm a woman, and I can totally agree with that. Society is stupid. Akash typed, "I tried to avoid women now since I already have trouble talking to people." And you know, that's the thing, Akash, is that that's really not going to necessarily even help you. I mean, the thing is that by trying to avoid women, that's what I did for years. I just assumed they were all lesbians so that I could talk to them without any of the crap that you end up having to go through. We'll start thinking about sex. So I just pretended all women were lesbians, and that made it easier to be friends with them, and that's why I never hit on them. But then again, just because I never hit on them doesn't mean that they didn't try pulling some nasty shit. Like with Natalie. None of this was over anything that I actually did to Natalie. It was about her opinions, her embarrassment, her drug addiction, her family problems, a bunch of stuff that didn't have nothing to do with me, a bunch of things that were not my choices. But I got to deal with them anyway. Just because you avoid women doesn't mean that you aren't going to be assaulted if a woman is paranoid because you're different. Let's say you live across the street from a pretty lady, right? And you're different. You're weird. You walk down the street a little bit differently. You talk a little bit differently. But you live there right across the street from her. You're weird. So she's scared of you because you're weird. So she talks to her friends about the weird guy who lives across the street. And once in a while you look up at her because she's staring at you. So you look up and you wave friendly and you go into your house. You know, you're not trying to be antisocial. You just don't want any bullshit. Well, next thing you know, you're walking down the street someday. You don't know if she's got a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You don't know anything about this lady. You know that she lives across the street and she's pretty. Well, now you got her boyfriend confronting you and fucking pushing you and shoving you and telling you that you're some sort of fucking creeper and to leave his fucking girlfriend alone. You're like, oh, whoa, hold on a second. Who the fuck is your girlfriend? The lady across the street? I'm always friendly to her. I see her looking at me, so I wave. Was that a bad thing? Yes, it is, apparently. I've been told, especially by the younger generation, that if you're nice to a girl, then it means you want to fuck her. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Why not just give people respect instead of saying you have to earn my respect? Just give them that fucking respect. You want to be respected, don't you? The only thing that you're going to earn from me is my disrespect. So if I'm disrespectful to you, ask yourself what it is that you did to earn that disrespect. But really, you don't even have to yourself. I'll tell you. I don't get embarrassed. Now, that guy, because you're different and he shoved you, someone might call the cops. Cops might show up. He's not autistic. You are. You're different. Cops have the same bias as everyone else. Oh, he's weird. He's creepy. He's different. He must be the culprit. And boom, despite the fact that you're trying to avoid women, now you've been assaulted and you're on your way to jail. Yay! Jason typed laugh my ass off. Ashley typed anti-normal. Badass beard group. Oh my God, Sean. What does it say? You trapped my shit up. Oh, that's a good one. Ash, Jason, bro. F address, not this lady. You know, pants were invented by the Celts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Celts. That was thousands of years ago. The Celts weren't just in Ireland. They were most of Europe were Celtic. Um, they invented pants for women. Back in Roman times, if a man wore pants, that would be like me, this full on beard, walking down the street in a bright red sundress. Role reversal. Back then, men wore basically what's the equivalent of a sundress. It's a tunic. Um, a toga was Greek, and a lot of Romans adapted the Greek lifestyle and did wear togas. But yeah, back then, women wore the pants and men wore the dresses. Ouch, I'm sorry about the Caroline situation. LOL. Aw, Sean, you're not alone. Ashley, a lot of your stuff is held for review. That's some shit. I can say there is any violation, all my peeps are in Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia. Akash typed, I used to know someone who was falsely accused of rape and his life was destroyed beyond repair. He had to go to jail for years and now he doesn't trust any women anymore. You know, I know at least 6 guys who are dead from that. 6 guys who really killed themselves over false accusations. So it's not just prison. I know a lot of guys who have pled guilty to crimes they didn't commit because they were never going to be allowed to have their lives back. At least they could have some freedom by pleading guilty to something they didn't do so they don't end up spending 12 years in prison. It's fucking stupid. Jason typed, I wish the ladies took care of shit now. I don't. Historically, women have not been any better or worse leaders than men. There have been female tyrants, there have been female saviors. It's not a matter of gender. See, that's the thing, is that we keep trying to separate the genders. Like, men and women are completely different, just like we want to separate skin colors. Like, blacks and whites are completely different. It all comes down to poverty. Ashley, it says you retracted a comment. I'm sorry, I didn't read it. Yeah, he served his time. Obviously, But that's horrible for him now. He already had to fight in prison, and now he can't trust the opposite gender anymore. Now I wonder where he is now. I got a few people like that too. Usually I get a notification a year later. When Barry the harmonica player died, I didn't find out until a year after he had already become a corpse. Now, I'm against lying. I don't really see much purpose in it. But when I did see a purpose in it, it's because trying to do things the right way, the legal way, the way that you're supposed to. Well, when you have the tag of mentally ill hanging over your head, it doesn't work that way. When you're working with police officers who can turn off their body cameras and write down whatever they want, it doesn't work that way. That's why somebody who has the tag of mentally ill literally needs the person. Whether you can do that or not isn't my choice, isn't my decision. But if people can't do that, then I have to take the punishment. I have to take the punishment because nobody's actually fighting for my rights. There's nobody having a peaceful protest for me. There's nobody trashing the CNN Center for me. There's nobody looting local stores because things are very bad for them right now. The fact is, a lot of these folks have been under the whole COVID-19 quarantine. They've been bottled up in their houses. Getting toilet paper and other amenities is rather difficult, especially when you're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to go out in public. And yeah, you need food. Go steal it from a supermarket. Don't steal from the tobacco store. You don't need that shit. Don't go robbing the dispensary. You don't need that shit. You need food, water, and shelter. Focus on those three. You wear tight pants around the house. Well, that's interesting, Jason. Anyway, y'all be safe. I'm going to ditch you for the night. Keep on cursing. Keep on making as loud a noise as you can. This isn't my rights. This isn't Natalie's rights. This isn't George Floyd's rights. These are our rights, all of ours. The First Amendment is for all of us. The Second Amendment is for all of us. Just because it's popular to harm somebody doesn't make it okay. You have a good night, too.